What's up, everybody? My name is Josh LaFleur from Late Star Piano. Today I'm going to explain to you the best book that a beginner piano player needs, with the caveat that you can read music and you have a little bit of music theory under your belt. If you don't, it's extremely simple. As far as the reading music, all you need to know is what the notes are in the staff for both bass clef and treble clef, and all the music theory you need to know is intervals. Okay, so like your minor second, major thirds. You can learn that in 10 minutes on Google if you just Google those things. What are intervals in music, and how to read bass clef, and how to read treble clef notes. If you know those things, again, you can learn those in 10 minutes and you're brand new to playing the piano. This is probably the best book that you can get besides your typical method books like the Alfred Method book or Faber and Faber or something like that. This book is called The Complete Scales, Chords, Arpeggios, and Cadences. This is a little close-up of the book. It's through Alfred's, that's the Alfred's library. And why is this so important to have? Why should beginners have this book? Well, first of all, this book is going to teach you all of your major scales. It's going to teach you all of your minor scales. It's going to teach you about your relative minor, your harmonic minor, and your melodic minor scales, first of all. And again, if you're a brand new piano player, you're probably like, what the hell is this guy talking about? But you can learn all of that in this book. So it's going to help your music theory. It's going to help your scales. You're going to learn about chords on the piano. You're going to learn about chord inversions. You're going to learn about the primary chords at 1, 4, 5. You're going to learn about cadences, so the chord progressions. You're going to learn about how to play scales in parallel motion and contrary motion, scales in thirds, scales in tenths. Okay, all kinds of different stuff is all in this book. Arpeggios, how to play the broken chords as well. It's going to teach you about the circle of fifths. It's going to teach you about chromatic scales. And I know this is a lot of information I'm giving you right now, but it's good to know all of these things, at least start to learn these things as a brand new piano player. Now, you can really supplement as far as the music theory. You're going to have damn near everything you need to know just by picking up this one book. And you're going to be able to supplement whatever piece you're working on, whatever method book that you're working on. You can supplement the songs that you're playing with this Alfred's book of scales, chords, cadences, and arpeggios. And it's going to be great for your music theory because you're going to understand everything pretty much that you need to know. You're also going to know how to play all of your 12 major scales. I would just start with that. Don't worry about the minor scales at all. Within that first year of playing piano, you probably want to learn your 12 major scales. If you actually know how to play all your major scales within 1 year of playing piano, that is a huge accomplishment. That's going to put you light years ahead of a lot of beginning piano players, because it's something that a lot of people don't like to work on. They don't like to work on it because the shit's boring. It's boring to play your scales every day. It's boring to learn about your hand position and which finger should go on which note and which scale. It's kind of boring, right? People play piano because they want to play songs, not because they want to practice scales. With that said, though, practicing scales and knowing your scales is very important. The reason for that is because every song that you can ever play is made up of scales. So briefly here, all a scale is a group of notes in a specific pattern. That's it. That's all a scale is. So, for example, if you have a C major scale, you have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then you're back to C. All those notes follow a specific pattern, and that's your grouping of notes, okay? All natural notes. When you learn how to play that, and you learn which finger should go on which note in both hands, when you go to play a song in C major, your hands are already going to be familiar with that key, okay? And when a song uses a particular scale, when they use usually specific notes that make up the scale, we call it a key. So if a song is in the key of C major, then it's going to be made up of the same notes as a C major scale, okay? And when you practice those scales, it's like you're practicing every song in that key. So if you practice your C major scale, you're practicing thousands of songs that are written in C major, because primarily the song is going to be using the notes that are in the C major scale. You're also going to be doing your thumb tucks and your hand rotations and a lot of movement in the same places, okay? For the most part, again. Another thing it's going to do is you're going to know the chords within each scale, which is extremely, extremely important. You're going to know your major chords, your primary chords in that scale, which is the 1, 4, and 5. Okay? And you're going to also know the position. So if you've already started an Alfred's method book, for example, you've probably already seen this, where your left hand plays the basic chords, your right hand plays the melody. Your left hand will be doing inversions of these chords. So you might play the 1, and then the 4 might be in second inversion, and then you might play a 5 chord or 5/7 chord, let's say, in some other inversion. All of that is things that you need to play actual songs. And again, this book goes through all of that for both hands for every single key. And like I said, it's going to help your technique because you're going to be knowing about scales and how to move up and down the piano, right? It has 2 octave scales. So you're going to be doing a lot of movement up and down. It's going to teach you how to do contrary motion with scales. So now you're also working on hand independence because your right hand is going to be going up, your left hand is going to be going down, and then they're going to come back in and meet back in the middle. So that's also great. You're also going to be working on scales in thirds, again, which is another hand independence thing because you're doing 2 different things. It's also going to be working on your technique, again, your music theory, because you need to know what scale degree that you're on to make those turns. Besides the scales and the chords, you're also going to be working on the arpeggios. And a lot of music has a lot of arpeggios. What is an arpeggio? Arpeggio is just a broken chord. So a C major chord is C, E, and G. When you play a block chord, you play all 3 notes at the same time. So you would play C, E, and G at the same time. If you arpeggiate a C major chord, then you're playing C, E, and G one at a time. That's an arpeggio. And the book, again, is going to teach you how to play 2 octave arpeggios with both hands and any chord. So you're going to learn it in B flat, you're going to learn it in A minor, you're going to learn it in A major, you're going to learn it in G flat, okay? All of these different things. It's going to teach you the hand movement as well as the technique to make sure you're doing it correctly. And you can ask any teacher in the world, they're going to tell you that practicing your scales and arpeggios are probably the 2 most important things that you can do to work on your theory and your technique, other than actually playing songs themselves. The reason for that is, again, is because every song makes up a scale, and every song probably is going to have some arpeggios in it as well. And it's just going to set you up to make things a lot easier down the road when you're playing songs that are a little bit more challenging, when you're playing songs in maybe more difficult keys, or you're starting to really play larger, maybe 2 or 3 octave arpeggios. If you have this book and you know the theory, you know which fingers you should be using, and you physically played the arpeggios already before, it's going to make it a lot easier going down the road. And also, again, it's going to really help with your music theory. You want to also understand the language, okay? Piano is not just about playing the right notes. It's not just about muscle memory. A lot of people think it is. It's partly about muscle memory, but it's not all that it's about, okay? It's also about having the music theory, understanding what it is that you're playing. If you can play a song really well, perfectly, that's great. Congratulations. But you also want to be able to understand what is happening. You want to be able to understand the chords that are underneath the melody. You want to be able to understand the diatonic sounds versus the non-diatonic sounds. You want to know the arpeggios. You want to learn the expression of the music, okay? All of this is your music theory. All of this is going to help you be able to explain what it is that you're doing. It's also going to help you understand what it is that you're hearing as well. So piano is difficult in other sense than other instruments, because you really need to have the physical piece down, the hand coordination, the ability to physically play, as well as the mental piece of the music theory. Let's say something like guitar or maybe saxophone, you might not need as much music theory because you don't really need to change keys like that. With guitar, you just put the capo on. Saxophone, you can only make 1 noise at a time, right? You can only play 1 note at a time. You can't actually play a legitimate block chord on saxophone because you can only play 1 note at a time. So piano is a little bit more challenging in that sense because you have a lot more options and there's a lot more really going on. Not to take away from learning guitar or saxophone. Okay, I played saxophone and I played piano, so I know what that's like too. But I would say piano is far more challenging than saxophone. There's just a lot more going on. There's a lot more to it. And that's the way it is. That's my opinion. And because of that, sax or piano, you really want to know that theory side as well as physically playing it. Okay. So again, just get the book. It's $5 on Amazon, $10 on Amazon, whatever it is. I'll show it to you one more time. Alfred's Basic. This is the cover. It's going to have so much music theory in there for you. You're going to learn all your scales, chords, and arpeggios. That's huge. And you can learn them in all 12 major keys. Once you practice those for a year or a year and a half, however long it takes you, then you can move on to the minor keys, do the same thing. I promise this is going to help you physically being able to play. It's also going to help your music theory when you play the piano. And if you use this to supplement your method book, the songs that you're playing, you're going to be in a lot better spot. Okay. So I hope that helps. Again, my name is Josh LaFleur from Late Star Piano. Let me know if you have any questions.